Hello, hello, everybody. We'll be starting soon. Give me a moment, but welcome to the show. Back to back episodes. Let's go. Yo, I actually took the time to watch the interview he did with Pelas 2 years or 2 years, 2 months ago.
Oh, nice,
Yeah.
nice.
So I'll talk a little about that. You
Okay.
mentioned Libertadores.
No, I got confused. It's Copa America, but still
Oh, Copa
worth.
America.
It's still worth mentioning, and it's official. It's official now. So
America.
that's yeah. So that's good, man. That's a good tournament. That's gonna be that's some good news. I sent you some clips. There's one about this guy talking to some fat dude. I don't know if you saw it.
Oh, it's dude. How did he make his way to fucking Fox Deportes, bro?
Hale had some hot takes, but I mean, I agree with some of the what he was saying, but
Yeah.
I wanted to add to it because
Okay. I can
these
play
are
that.
these are these are things that are easier said than done. Shit ain't free, homie. This is
Yeah.
this is in charity case.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Dude's Paulo Di Bola. I
Is
don't
that
think
him?
I don't think that's his real name, but he's playing off like Paulo Di Bala, but Di Bola.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The one fat. I can. Okay. I, I know that feel. I know that feel. The Ebola.
Oh man, already on the YouTube. I don't know what Joel's hot take is, but I can already tell it's gonna be bad.
Ouch. Is that Ricardo?
Yeah. He's on the YouTube
Oh
chat.
shit.
He's on the YouTube chat
Why
already. I
is in
love it.
YouTube when you could join us?
He's scared. He's scared. He was on yesterday, but I don't know if he was busy or something.
Oh, he didn't talk.
We got Abdias here. All right. Parties. The gang's all here. I'll uh I'll kick it off. We'll go as we figure this out. All right, all right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Cantina MX Football Podcast. Back-to-back episodes, 387. All aboard the LamborJimmy. Now that we've had about a day to let the dust settle, we're all aboard Jimmy Lozano's quest to win the Gold Cup. Is it the quest? How much are we expecting from this national team? We're going to talk about that tonight. And then we're also going to be talking about some of his entourage. It's pretty interesting. We also have some other news regarding Copa America for next year. That and much, much more. We're broadcasting simultaneously on YouTube and on Twitter Spaces. So join one of those platforms and feel free to comment or speak up. That's what we're here for. Before I go any further, I want to welcome Joel, my co-host, to the pod. How we doing?
Good, Jaime. Really happy with the Copa America news. Especially it's going to be here in the U.S. Hope to
Hell
be able to
yeah.
catch another match. Hopefully they put some more games because Gold Cup just has the final in LA. So I'm hoping for Copa America we get a game or two in this region.
And we also have Abdias joining us, our number one Cruz Azul fan. How we doing?
Evening, gentlemen. Evening. Really well. I don't know if anybody just managed to hear the Instagram live that Tito Villa and
Oh,
Marcelo did about the current state of Cruz Azul. If not, I'll be filling you guys in, and we'll go from there.
okay.
But also, we got Habibi on the show, and we got all these other names. I'm gonna start going as Nostradamus, man, because I told
Nostradamus.
y'all that Jimmy was gonna get it.
Oh,
I
wow.
told you that it was the best point. I mean, did I not say it in the last one?
Yeah. I mean, you did call it. So, hey, what's the story about Nostradamus? Is that like a prophet or something?
Yeah, just some old head who like predicted a bunch of shit who's actually kind of worked out, but it's that whole self fulfilling
Oh,
prophecy.
we have Joel playing with Legos over here. What you doing, man?
Oh yeah, I was sorry. I didn't think it was that.
Your
I didn't think
mic
it was that loud, dude.
your mic's always sensitive,
No,
bro.
it's too sensitive. I'm gonna just stop that. That is my kid's car track. I was just snapping it back, snapping it back to like those Hot Wheel tracks.
Oh, those are dope, man. I never got to have one as a kid, but I use my imagination. Cardboard can go a long way.
Same. I third roads,
Yeah, I used to like take
third roads.
my dad would make them, build fences and stuff or just do random stuff when I was a kid, and I would just take scraps of wood and build my own Hot Wheel tracks and
Oh
shit.
damn, dude.
Yeah, dude.
All right.
Yeah. Anyways, so we've had about 24 hours since the big news, Diego Coca getting fired and Jimmy Lozano coming in as interim. And I've had a couple hours to think about it. I did watch the podcast that he did with Ricardo Peláez 2 months ago. It's on YouTube. Worth watching if you want to get a better understanding of who he is and where he's coming from. His parents were actors, so he comes from money and fame. And he said that he wasn't
Ah,
really good at acting, that it was actually between becoming a musician and playing soccer. And he would arrive late to like choir practice. So the teacher said, you have to make a decision. They gave him an ultimatum, and he got his backpack and he decided to dedicate his life to soccer. So,
that easy, huh?
yeah, right. And when I think about him, I wouldn't even put him as one of the best 100 Mexicans of all time. Like honestly, when you think about his career, yeah, he won the bicampeonato with Hugo Sanchez, but I mean, do you think you would consider him like a legend or like a hero in Mexican football? Not really.
No, he wasn't amongst the better ones. He did make a FIFA. Where was it? Oh, two. He made one of the FIFA covers.
He made the cover of the Road to the World Cup,
He's with Landon, I think. He's half and half.
and Ironically, he didn't even make that World Cup. Yeah,
Hmm.
I think it was '06.
So prior to the naming of Jimmy, right? He went on a press tour like everyone who's out of a job does. So he was going around and he did a really good interview with the Mother Soccer podcast by Footbox. And one of the things that he said was, "Look, guys, I know I wasn't the best player, right? I was a middle to average player, but what I always did is that I left my all in the field. Me partía la madre todos los días en los entrenamientos, en los juegos, en todo lo que hacía. And that's what made me stick out. That's what made me into a special player. So, hey, you don't have to be one of the best. You just
No.
have to be willing to picar piedra y partirte la madre cada minuto que estás en el campo."
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Well, then we've seen in recent years how a lot of coaches that weren't even players went on to be really good coaches. Uh,
Jose
so I don't think you
Mourinho.
need. Yeah, and then we've seen also the opposite. Uh, Players that weren't really good, but better coaches than they were players.
Hmm.
So I don't think that affects you know what he's capable of.
Yeah, and he talks about his work ethic and how he has a crazy work ethic. He clocks in at 7 a.m. and leaves the office at 9 p.m. He says he's obsessed, and he says the only time he leaves his office is for training and for practice. Um, so just a little bit about him. One thing I did want to point out though is he has an assistant coach who it was originally just like an analytics guy, but ended up becoming his assistant coach. His name's Ryota Nishamura, and he's Japanese,
Hmm.
man. So I thought that was very interesting. And apparently, like he also has a crazy work ethic. You know that Japanese culture, right? So curious
Yeah,
curious to know if he will be joining Jimmy on this journey to the Gold Cup.
That is an interesting question. Now, the other one, because I've been listening to a lot of voices out there, is what's going to happen with the lower ranks of La Selección, like Lilini, and the work that he's doing. Is he going to stay on board, or is he going to get replaced as well?
why would he get replaced though?
Because they're kind of sweeping away the whole project, right?
I
Like
think
everything that it used to be and was, they're just getting rid of it. Shit, they fired Ares de Parga, they fired Jimmy.
oh yeah,
So
that was
not
the
Jimmy,
yeah.
the other one, Coca. So therefore, what would we be seeing moving forward, and
Well,
how?
well yeah, well yeah. I mean, because he was sort of like at the head of that, even though technically it was Iraragorri, making that call. But this guy, I think he had to stamp his seal of approval, and he did. So at that point, you're the one that's gonna look bad. Um, and so he gets sacked, and that means the coach he brought in, even though it was the other guy, also leaves. But that's just with the main team. I don't think Lilini has played any games yet. But so I guess they're gonna give him more. They're gonna give him more time to let's see what he's capable of doing. But it's a guy that's worked with youth before, so he shouldn't have a hard time.
Exactly. No, I'm not saying he should be out. I'm just saying we've seen this movie before.
Mm-hmm.
We know how they move, and it's not just, hey, you're out and your boss is out. Is you're out, your boss, your
Yeah,
assistant, everybody
and,
underneath you gets the fuck
and
out.
Burn
yeah, and
everything.
that movie, that was what my hot take is on how this whole thing happened. Not so much on the appointment of Jimmy as the coach, but how how um how the FMF went about, restructuring their committee for the national team, and then at the first bad result, they sort of like rage quit and almost like try to start over from scratch, right?
Yeah, man. I mean, this was a straight annihilation of whoever appointed Golka. It's like you're out and he's out, right? So it's like again, we kind of talked about it yesterday. Like there is something going on behind the scenes that we're not sure. And
But yeah,
Jimmy said he was straight up not he would refuse to be someone's assistant for this next cycle, and he didn't even know who was going to
he,
be coach.
yeah, because he said they approached him for that, but he said he felt he was already qualified to lead the team. And it does have a point where he said, the majority of the players that are in the national team are the guys that I had been working with at the youth teams, and so
I,
he has a good point
yeah,
there.
I understand his argument. He's like, hey, look, who's gonna know the team better than I do? I'm the one that was dealing with these kids for the Olympics. I've been part of this process. I was Tata's right hand man. Yeah, you might throw some bigger names out there with their accomplishments, but who's gonna be a better candidate than me? I'm Mexican. I have the work ethic, whatever. And I understand his argument, but I did tweet the numbers. I mean, they're not the best, right? His highest accomplishment was getting the bronze medal, um, and that's it, man. Like as a club coach, he didn't do that well. He got a 30% win rate at Querétaro, 36 games, 16 of those were defeats. At Necaxa, he had a 34% win record, 29 games, 13 of them were defeats. With the under 23 in Mexico, he had a higher percentage, 66%. Um, Again, the bronze medal at the Olympics, the Pan American bronze medal, and then he did win a Super Copa with Querétaro in 2017. That's
Did
a
he win like the region, the Olympic qualifier? He won that one
he
though,
won
right?
the Olympic
Yep.
qualifier. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, but
No, that
really quickly now, the one thing that I want to mention. Okay, sure, but winning Olympic bronze is no small feat. You came in third in the world in the Olympic Games. All right. So when was the last time that Mexico won third place in the World Cup or anything like that, bro? Do you understand how hard we
but
would break our arm
but
jerking ourselves off if we brought
they
third?
did win gold. They did win
Pues,
gold.
pues a huevo, güey. Le estamos mandando la verga todavía a esos güeyes, and they
No,
didn't
no, we're
yield
not.
shit.
No, people hate on Tena. You would think he was eliminated in the group stage. Not only did he win gold, he won it in Wembley and against Brazil. Do you get more epic than that, dude? That's like losing your virginity to like Miss World in like in a helicopter or something like that. This this is talk about like hitting every mark, nothing but net, dude. And he did it. He comes back to Max, dude. Nobody wants him. They hate Antena, dude. He's in Guatemala right now.
just to
Gonna
re
make
yeah,
history.
just to
Gonna
recap
make history.
really quickly, in the 2020 Olympics, Mexico was in the same group as Japan, France, and South Africa. Pundits didn't even have us leaving the group. We actually got runner up. So from there, we played Korea, beat them 6-3. Then we lost to Brazil in the semis in penalties. And then we end up beating Japan in the bronze match. So that's kind of like what happened. But yeah, we should have won that game against Brazil. It is what it is.
I didn't see those. I missed those games. I missed those games, but it has surprised me how much love Jimmy has been getting.
Oh,
I'm not against it. I'm not against it. I'm all for Max coaches, but it surprises me because like the whole Tena thing, people just
well,
were just hating on him, even when he was at Chivas. Where I was like, what?
let me read some comments real quick because the YouTube chat's on fire right now. Ricardo says Jimmy Lozano is a scrub coach. His wife is related to someone at Televisa. That's why he got the
Oh,
job. He was trash at Necaxa and Querétaro. He says he turned down the Pumas and San Luis job. This is the job that he wanted. If he doesn't get the job done at the Gold Cup, he should he should be excommunicated from the Mexican football. Oh my god.
Damn, bro. Hop on the Twitter. Say it with your whole chest.
Ricardo in the comment section going ham.
there's been people already pushing for Luis Enrique as the coach, but I'll be fine with someone like Jimmy and we talked in this show a lot about the TV show that was on during the World Cup, Los Maestros de la Jugada,
Mm-hmm.
and Jimmy was part of that. But you had a couple ex coaches and stuff. And if he does a lot of the things they were talking about, where they talk about like, how come you don't, how come sometimes coaches don't reach out to other coaches and kind of see how they dealt with something or did
Mm-hmm.
something, you know, if if he does something like that, I could see that helping him a lot. I don't know if he would want to do it. There's La Volpe. I don't know how what his relationship is with La Volpe, given La Volpe left him out of the World Cup. But
Ouch.
I mean, that dude knows he knows his shit, man. And that's someone you could even try to get him as like an assistant. You know, now, it's not like La Volpe is in hot commodity right now. Why wouldn't he want to be like part of like the tactical? Because I would say that the one of the things that has failed La Volpe is his character. He seems to have this like strong personality, and so it's been difficult for him to get like the players that to sort of like kind of go all out for him. I think the only time it kind of happened for him was like at Atlas, and because he very young squad. But then after that, he seems to kind of would have he would kind of lose the locker room, I guess, because his personality.
Yeah. Some more
So the
more comments on the
I
YouTube
was
real quick. Says logical choices were Biesla no longer available, Guillermo Almada or Luis Enrique. Thanks Disco Fever. Yeah, for that comment. And it says it shouldn't matter what the background is. Look at Brazil and Ancelotti. All right, Abdias, the floor is yours.
fuck. I'm drawing a blank. Yeah,
Well,
dude. Like, if we start looking at the whole Bielsa thing and how that was an option, and we start really looking into it, and we start like listening to what a lot of the executives are saying, is it was 100% a power move, dude. The whole 60 days, we could summarize it into a Game of Thrones episode. Like,
yeah,
everyone was stabbing each other in the back. No one was gonna make it out of there alive. And then when they thought they had consensus, and came in, he got Ibaragorri, and was like, nope, metió el pinche dedazo and said, this is who we're doing, and poached the coach out of another team. It was wild. Oh, and the one thing that I was going to say about Jimmy is he's been very open about how his biggest feature is the fact that he's willing to humble himself and he likes to go see other coaches work. I believe it was
yeah.
somebody in the Liga MX subreddit who posted a picture of like all of the different like
Oh
top
yeah,
level
dude.
coaches that he's been working with. He went to see Pep work. He went to go see a bunch of other people work, and that's where he's taking his inspiration from.
Pochettino,
Well,
Xavi, Guardiola,
other
Marquez.
Mexican coaches have done that though. Just because and I think just because they didn't go on the Instagram and start, putting that like in the same show, Los Maestros. You see your Chepo, and
Mm-hmm.
when he went to Europe, and he went twice actually. He went after the national team after he failed, and he went back to Europe, and he got to see a lot of these coaches run their training and talk to them. Uh, a lot of Mexicans do that. They just don't go out and advertise it, and that's why I always say here it's like an unfair. It's been like kind of unfair when they're criticizing them and saying that, oh, they're outdated and they don't know what's up compared to other coaches in Europe or South America, and it's like not really, because a lot of not only have a lot of them gone to Europe, um, like you're seeing right now with Rafa Marquez, and even you could even look into Paco Palencia. At the time, he even went and was in Europe. Um, in Mexico, they a lot of times they'll have like a conference where they invite a lot of coaches and trainers to come and give presentations and talk about how they train teams, or it could be like years ago, way years ago, they brought in Oscar Gorta, who was he's a Spaniard who was in Bolivia. So he was a coach when Bolivia qualified to the first World Cup, and they had the Tawichi Aguilera there. That was their youth. Their, at the time they were like world famous youth academy, and going up for that speech, Vergara hires him, brings him a Chivas, where he was asked. He he was like, dude, it's been 20 years since he actually did something. But I guess he sold himself. But you get the point. That that stuff happens in Mex a lot. So I think a lot of this criticism we've seen, it's unwarranted and a lot of times misleading. And sometimes people they'll just talk shit just for the sake of it. They'll go off of Hugo Sanchez, right? Because he went to Nicaragua to just get his coaching license there. And if you're like Hugo, then you're like, do you really need to study football, right? When you have all that like knowledge, do you really need to go and take a class? I mean, I would have done the same. I don't know about you guys, but if I had that swag, dude, I wouldn't. And I'm gonna go, and a lot of times coaches that know even less.
I have a question, and it's like, so you bring in Jimmy as interim. You've made it very clear. What if the impossible happens and the team immediately turns around, starts playing great football? They end up winning the Gold Cup convincingly. Like, do you, I know that the federation's already looking for a potential, suitor. They're probably going to start interviewing and all that stuff. But like, do you think he can earn the spot permanently, or no?
Yeah, no, I think it's more marketing. The whole just naming him the interim and then seeing how he does. Just going from the start with Coca, uh, I felt like he signed on to a really shitty deal, and that's part of my hot take was I think he went in knowing that the cards were stacked against him. I think he did it like it was one of those favors. What's his name? An offer that he couldn't refuse. It was one of those offers. Um, and because I mean, think about it, right? He gets the Tigres job, and that's pretty much one of the top three jobs you want in Mex because it pays the most. You could pretty much get any player you want. Um, so you could call it a dream job. You're basically like those. Remember those Google employees that used to? No, it wasn't Google. Was it Google or was it Twitter? They would put like my day at the job, and then they would just show up and doing yoga and
that
grabbing a
was
smoothie.
that was Twitter.
Yeah, that's kind of when you're at Tigres, right? You show up and they got like bars every other room, and 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 uh and anyways, he has that really cool job. He just he just landed it, man. And here comes the selección, and off the bat, dude, he's Argentine. The whole country's been doing nothing but talking shit about RGs. It's like, and it's like, oh shit, dude. And, that, and he's going into a national team that didn't make, didn't get out of the group stage for the first time in like 30 years. So it's already looking bad. And they're gonna face the U.S. pretty soon,
He had his
and
card
they're
stacked
facing.
against him.
But then you're going up against a U.S. team that already has Mexico's number, who hasn't lost against them in what, like 6 games, with going into a team that's beaten Mex three, has 3 straight wins against them. Granted, 2 were penalties, but dude, I mean, come on, you're gonna, you have to face this team with your with your squad that's morale is probably being dragged. So I mean, it's like, dude, and the media is just gonna be out to get you if you don't come out firing and your team's not looking like Pep's Barcelona. Dude, dude, come on, man. This is a smart guy. You know that you don't want that job, dude. It was like it's a fire and they're giving him a wet brick, and he's like, all right, put it off. It's just not, man. I think he knew what was gonna happen, and I don't think he did it because he felt he could turn it over. I just felt he was like, all right, fuck it. He had to be the trooper. That's where they're sending him. I mean, you guys sometimes talk about when you see someone like you will see some of these coaches and it'll be like, how do they keep getting jobs even though like they suck? And that's kind of part of it because they're tied to a promoter or whoever, and they'll go where they tell them to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I think, yeah, I think it sucked for him. But I mean, he went. He had to get. He had just started, dude. He had just started at Tigres. Then he has to go handle that flaming turd that's Mex, and he just had to go there, man. And he, I feel a little bit bad for him. He got dragged. He got
And he
dragged
probably
pretty
got
bad.
paid millions to buy out his
Oh,
contract. I'm sure he's doing fine.
you no, you're right.
I'm sure they have a clause
I don't feel bad now.
where you can be
I forgot
terminated
the
at
money
any
part.
at will employment, dude. At will employment. You can be
No, but
terminated.
they compensated him. But FMF will compensate you because
Nah.
to
He
many
did like 4
no, they
months of
do, man,
work,
they
and
do.
he's easily leaving like with $3-4
Yeah,
million.
Nah. I don't
Yeah,
think.
they
yeah,
pay the
he's getting.
severance package.
I don't believe that
dude.
shit,
Yeah,
dude.
no, it is,
They
dude.
do,
Because
man.
yeah, they do. Because you know what? FMF knows ultimately if they're bringing in some top coach, they don't want to come off as that federación that's gonna
No.
screw you over.
I
And you
don't.
know that if you go to Mex and then shit hits the fan, you're still walking away with that severed. You're still gonna walk away with
You might.
gift bags and whatnot, parting gifts.
I wish they would disclose the contract because I'm curious to know if there's a clause in there that says, "Hey, your employment is at will. We can fire you at any point, and if you are fired because of performance reasons, like we
And you think he would take it
you'll
being a
get
Tigre?
you'll get
The
severance, but it
FMF
won't be the
contract?
full contract, dude. Ain't no way. They're not that
No,
It
stupid.
is.
it won't be
It
the
has
full
to.
contract, but
It
easily he
is.
gets. I mean, easily of $2 million or something. 4
No,
months of work.
if he got signed for 4 years, they'll pay him the 4 years.
Nah, he didn't get no
So,
Yeah,
4-year
yes,
contract,
they
dog.
have to.
so hold
Well, I
on,
don't know
guys.
how many years. I'm just saying, for example. So let's say it was 2 years. They're gonna pay him the 2 years.
Mm.
All right. So, are you guys familiar with Luis El Fantasma Suarez? A Mexican reporter, soccer, used to write for Record and a bunch
Oh,
of other things. Now he's got a podcast, really short. Es un pinche viejito chismoso, bro. But he
I think
does the
I've
digging.
seen one or two. I
He
think I
does
have
the
seen some of
digging
it.
and he has all the contacts. So he's been able to start leaking a couple things about Coca's contract. Coca's contract held 2 points in which there were of revision points. There was one which where they were gonna, assess what it is that's happening after the Nations League. And then there was gonna be another point where they were gonna assess the project
Uh-huh.
at the end of the Gold Cup.
I knew it.
Pues adivina qué, cabrón. La cagaste.
Yeah.
Nations League is here. We get into this review period. That's why it's been a lot easier
Yeah.
to get them out.
I agree.
So
I still
now,
think they
as for
I'm
gave
the
him
sure.
some.
So.
well, yeah, no, the finances that hasn't
Yeah.
been cleared yet.
Dude,
I'm sure
but
there's some
seriously,
type of
What?
severance package.
All right.
Okay, but see, if you're Coca, you really quick. I mean, if you're Coca, you really think you're gonna let go of Tigres to go to Selección when they could put you after Nations League, which is what, like 3 games?
Hey, he signed up for
I
it.
Fuck that,
mean,
dude.
if you're going in
No,
with a
man,
dick
come
full of
on.
confidence, do
No,
you
you
think that you're gonna
can.
get
Nah,
fired?
dude, you guys
but
don't
not
give credit to
financially,
these
though.
guys.
All right.
You guys don't give
Financially,
credit
that's
to
true.
some of these guys.
Look,
They're not that dumb, man.
Joel,
Come on, they didn't
Joel,
get that far
all right, I believe
doing
you.
these dumbass mistakes.
I believe you
Thank you, sir.
that somebody with a pedigree like Tata would probably get a 4-year contract, and that's
Oh
probably
yeah,
that's
for
probably
sure.
why they couldn't get rid of him. And I think like I
He
honestly
resigned twice.
he resigned or whatever. But I honestly think that like for an established coach that has a pedigree that coached Barcelona, I believe that they did give him a lucrative contract and it was gonna bite them in the ass if they had fired him or whatever the case may be. But for Coca specifically, after the shit show that went down after the World Cup, I believe they gave him a shitty ass deal, dog. They did his ass
And
dirty.
you believe he'll leave Tigres for a shitty deal?
I think he was willing to take the gamble because you can't say no to the Mexican national team.
Yes, you can. Especially, look, he won 2 league titles. He's a Tigres candidate to win every year.
They must have offered him a lot of money then.
he would have easily won another league. Well, I wouldn't say easily, but high probability he would have won another league title, and perhaps another one down the road. He would have been one of the more successful coaches, and the job would have the job offer would have eventually come back to him.
Yeah. I'm gonna go to the comment real quick, and then we have Ricardo, our number one fan, hopping on. Excited to hear him. But Disco Fever says that Lozano winning the Gold Cup is not addressing the issues. Don't fall for it. That is what the owners want. And now we have
I
Ricardo joining us on the pod.
Well, really quick with the comment, I agree, but I think they already addressed the issue, which is turning the second division into pretty much it's going to be where they're going to have the majority of Mexican-born players playing, and that's where we've talked about. That's where we're going to see a big turnaround in talent, eventually making their way up to the first division again.
Ricardo, the floor is yours. Welcome to the pod.
Gentlemen, how's it going?
Yeah, welcome to the show, man.
That was dedicated to Joel and to the rest of these reporters
Go.
in Mexico because they've been talking some craziness, if we're being honest.
Some
Things,
conspiracy theories.
Wait, what I say that was crazy?
no, not so much you. I'm just busting your
Oh,
balls.
okay. I make sure to have receipts.
And to let you guys know, I read somewhere that he had a contract up until the World Cup 2026.
Nah.
See, I believe that. I believe that. That's the only. If I'm Coca, that's the only way I take that
Damn.
shit show. That's the national team. There's no
Yeah.
fucking way, especially if I'm at Tigres with that Google, Twitter atmosphere where you show up and you got rooms for yoga and they're making you smoothies and shit. Fuck that, dude. I don't need the national team, dude. I'm cool right here. You guys, dude, seriously, you don't need that. Come on. I mean, I know it's a dream to eventually play, but you're gonna get it if you're successful. Um, you you will get that chance, and you'll get it in better terms because he was taking something really bad. The hot potato there, man.
I don't think anybody with a straight face said, "Yeah, Coca, here's the keys to the Lambo for the next 4 years." I don't think anybody was thinking this was gonna last more than this summer. Honestly.
Hence why you have the review periods.
Yeah.
Yeah, but come on, dude. Who's gonna gi- given the situation Mexican, who's gonna seriously take that? What coach is you gonna seriously? I mean, do you think they would do that to Bielsa and tell him, "Hey, we're gonna review you"?
No, I think
So I mean, so then basically you're saying,
it was
I know, but you're
specifically for
basically,
Coca though. I think it was specifically for Coca.
oh well then, but see, if you're telling me that, then you're saying, well, then you don't trust me, then I don't want to be here. I'm already at a team that
Yeah.
gave me they gave him the keys to the Ferrari, dude. He could be like Tuca in a year or two, driving around town in his Ferrari, dude.
But I mean,
Dude, come on.
after coming the failure of Tata Martino, where you gave him full autonomy, you don't think that reining somebody in is like, hey, you know what? We're going to discuss the process that you're in at X point. See where we're
Yeah,
going to make sure that we're righting ship.
but see, then
Like,
you're blaming Martino. You have to blame the
I'm
Federativos
just
that
inputting a process because, hey, bro, I'm in sales. Guess what? I have quarterly reviews.
Yep.
Every quarter, hey, where are your numbers? How are you performing? What is it that's happening? It's not like, yo, pack your shit and get the fuck out.
well, yeah,
It's just,
you could.
where are we? Are we on track? Yes. Then keep pushing, man. Let me empower you. What do you need, and how can we help you be better at what you do?
I know, but with this is a bit more tricky because it's just how often the national team plays, right? So you're looking at Coca, who had like 3 games, like subpar opponents. I don't think he ever even had like a month-long training camp. So he was missing a lot of stuff. I'm not taking away from the mistakes he made. Obviously, I feel he made a lot, but at the same time, it's not like he was given much to work with. So, how are you going to review something like that?
The
And
quarterly
how many?
the
Yeah, go on, go on.
the quarterly reviews for Mexico are the are the attendance and the TV viewing figures,
It's
which
true.
up until Saturday, that's when they played Panama, right? Because I didn't watch that crap. Up
Yeah.
until
Yes.
Saturday, that's when they started to notice. Because before that, all the pochos, all those all those
But
half.
hey, dude. No, no, you're right. But I
All
mean,
those no
but
sabo kids.
who was gonna pay that premium price for a third place game? Come on, seriously. And you're landing between what was Father's Day and then Juneteenth. It's like a with federal holiday now, so it's like the 4 day weekend.
I think if Mexico had made the final, that place would have been way more
Oh, but the
packed.
final that would well, yeah, that's something else, man. Making the final, but if your team's playing third place, that point, you know what, you don't really care at this point. As far as you're concerned, they're already eliminated.
Hey,
Like
you guys!
they're not.
I wanted to add something just
Yeah, go for it.
regarding last week. I'm glad Habibi's on because he got a little mad at us when we told him that outside of that it doesn't matter if Liga MX isn't being watched outside of the U.S. and Mexico. Well, well, keep in mind that that stadium was empty, and it goes to my point that without Mexican fans, the U.S. It wouldn't exist. Football wouldn't exist here without Mexico and Mexican fans. And I was reading some, and there's a reason why Liga MX doesn't need any other country to watch it because I was watching on TUDN. Keep these guys are the world champions, Argentina, and they're focusing on building installations in Miami and I believe in New Jersey too as well. They're trying to reach out over here to get their product over here.
Yeah.
If the U.S. didn't matter and all the people that watch soccer over here didn't matter, if Europe was so important, why didn't they build those facilities in Berlin, in Madrid, in Italy, in Rome? Because
Yeah.
the money's over here. The eyeballs, everyone knows the eyeballs are over here.
Be-
And that's what Liga MX, that's the thing it had going for itself. It had a constant viewing, it had a solid fan base, viewing figures, people showing up to the games, and that's something you just can't buy overnight or take for granted. I know what he was trying to say with that with the levels of football. Everyone knows that over there, that's where the highest level of football is being played. But even if you take a look now, even some Premier League teams, they're going into another thing about the now they're even having a multipropiedad. Chelsea being bought out by a percentage by Saudi ownership, the guys that own Newcastle.
Hmm.
So everyone's looking for money, and that's why Liga MX doesn't need any other team, especially not Argentina or South America. They need us. That's that's what everyone. That's
I
me schooling Habibi there.
I I
Well, I
co-sign
don't think
on
you
that.
understood my point. What they were arguing was that you couldn't play youth players because you can't bring down to the level of the league. And my argument was like, bro, no one watches Liga MX outside of the U.S. and Mexico. If you play youth players and you bring the level of the league down, quote unquote, like you just said it, in Europe or lo que sea, les vale madres. No one's watching Liga MX. That was my argument that you could afford to
Eh,
play young players, even if it
no, no,
quote
no, you
unquote
can't.
brings down the level of the league. Because outside of USA and Mexico, no one's really watching it.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
no
but
one's watching
you can't
Argentina
afford
or Brazil either. No one's
but you
watching
can't
those leagues
afford to
either.
do that. You
Exactly. So if no one's
a club
watching it,
owner,
then
no,
you
a
can
club
play
owner,
around and play more of your youth
no, no,
national
you can't,
players.
dude. No, no, you can't,
We're
dude. A
acting like
club
it's the
owner,
Premier League or La
it's
Liga,
not.
and
But
everyone's like, why are they playing all these like 18-year-old Spanish kids? I want to watch superstars. No one's
You
watching
can't
it. No
do.
one's
You
watching
you
Liga
can't
MX.
afford
You
that.
can
You
get away
need
with playing more younger players if you wanted to.
you you need to, as a club owner, and you're like, let's say San Luis, you can't afford to suck for 3 4 years straight. You need to make liguilla. You need to have some of these bigger games that are going to put asses in the seat, bring you some contracts, get you the extra TV time. And if you're missing those marks, then you're missing a lot of money. And then you go the way of Jaguares and you're broke and you're out of there. So it's not like they really can't afford. That's why that's with the short season it doesn't allow for youth players because you can't. You need to ultimately you know make the liguilla. That's their concern. And we even saw it before Mex stopped playing Libertadores with some of the teams preferring the league over Libertadores because they knew they were going to make more money qualifying to the league, to the liguilla, I should say. So I mean, that's the one thing where it's like you need your team still has to be competitive at least within the country to have the local fans still showing up to the stadium and to try to get a better TV contract and whatnot. And you're not going to achieve that if your team is ass for 4 or 5 years because you're playing with 18-year-olds. You're thinking as more of like a national team fan that wants the league to work for the national team. But I mean, national teams not going to compensate. They don't compensate the league teams. If a player gets injured, they're not going to be like, here you go, here's the money and wages, we're going to pay it. They don't care, dude. Your player got broke. Like
Completely
No, I
different
mean, I think you guys
entities.
are looking too deep into it. That one rule was like 20 once or whatever. If you brought back a similar rule where you literally could play one youth player in a position, 20, 30 minutes a game to satisfy the rule, you could still be competitive. Nothing's
well,
going
I
to
mean,
happen to Tigres, Monterrey, America, Puebla, or whatever if they play a guy who's 21 years or younger for 20, 30 minutes a
not
game.
not those teams, but Tel Querétaro who ended up getting relegated.
Querétaro, who's shit with veterans, you think how much
So,
worse could they get with a 21-year-old? If
Wait a
anything,
well,
they're
minute.
the
you'll
ones
be
who should be
surprised,
playing
dude.
them.
You'll
But
be
If you're,
surprised, but I mean,
but
but I mean, they
what
got relegated for not using the youth player. But like I'm saying, not all these teams are gonna have a youth player of that level that can hang in first division. And again, it's a very short season, so that makes it even more difficult.
well, at that point, that's an excuse. I mean, at the end of the day, you're a soccer team with an academy. If you cannot develop one player to play one position in first division, and we're not talking about 15 years old. We're talking up to the age of 21. If you cannot develop one player that can hang for at least 20 minutes to satisfy some youth development rule, that speaks more bad about how you're doing things than it's a short season, not wanting to get relegated. Like that's your job. That's what you're in the business for, to recruit players and develop players and try to win a title.
But I'm gonna be honest, man. Do you not remember the season when that rule was in play? Because I remember it. It was a shit season. All right, the games were boring. You were like, "Puta madre, están metiendo a ese pendejo." And then we had to like follow the rules and see how the numbers were going. So it's not necessarily the
Bro, you're a
best
Cruz Azul
route.
fan. You were just going off about that one kid that Santi wants to send over to Europe.
Oh,
That
Wescas?
he's so
Oh, bro, trust me, I'm all about it. And
yeah.
there's
That's what
moves
I'm
that are
saying. No se
about
la
to come
puedes
over.
mamar un día and then the next day use the excuse that he's
No,
youth
no,
and
no,
it's
pero no
boring.
estoy diciendo que esta no es la solución. Like it is an argument. If you really want to do it, let's reduce the number of extranjeros,
Yeah,
right?
but
Let's
you know
do
what?
And
that.
I'll
Let's give them that. Let's not
and
force
going
that
them
back
to
to
have
like
to
the
play these
beginning, you guys
underages.
misunderstood everything. My argument is not that we need to play more youth players or the league needs to be better for the national team. No, my argument was that if youth players got more minutes, that no one outside of Mexico and Liga MX would care, and that's a fact. The
but
And that
I
you
is a
league's
mean,
gonna
fact.
they
No
know,
care.
one,
they
like we
know
said,
that.
Yes,
no
the
one watches
league's
it.
gonna care. The league's gonna care. But you're gonna tell me people in Europe, Asia, South America, if Liga MX goes up a higher level or a lower level between eighth position and 11th position, you honestly think they care? From a business
You,
perspective, yes. But I'm talking about from your casual fan.
No, Chicharito
no,
said
but
it when he came to
Your casual
MLS.
fans do
Nobody
not
in
care.
Europe knows about Liga MX.
yeah,
Exactly.
They
No
know
one
about
but the
knows
Liga
about the
MLS.
MX
league.
owners know this. They don't care. The Liga MX owners they know this, but they don't. I mean, their money is in Mex in the U.S.
Yeah, but that's
Why
what
why
you're
why are
you're
they
debating
gonna?
about from the business point of view. I'm debating from a fan outside of Mexico and the U.S.
But
He
but
could
but
give two
ultimately, it
fucks if
takes
the
money
league
to
goes
run
up
the.
or down and
Yeah,
level.
but it takes money to get this going. I mean, without money, it's what you just might
But
as well
once
have
again, you're looking
cascaritas
from wrong
amateur.
perspective. I'm looking like Chinese league. If the Chinese league plays with all Chinese people, or they bring in a bunch of overpaid foreign players, I don't care. It doesn't affect me. I don't watch that league. They can do whatever they want, whether it's good or bad for them. They can do whatever they want because I don't watch that league. And I guarantee you, a lot of people feel the same way about the Mexican league.
But
So
you
my
were
point is, you can do whatever you want, whether it's good or bad for you. Most people around the world don't care because they don't watch it.
but you were trying to say that you're comparing both leagues, and that's a big mistake. I think a lot of fans, they try to compare Mexico to the Premier League or to even MLS now, where you were trying to say that because they produce so many players, they have an advantage over Mexico. In the league has an advantage over Mexico. You're talking about the second division scrubs and all that. Like Mexico, even though it produces three players every 20 years, those three players are worth more than all those people want to watch those three players over all of the U.S. national team players, and that's what that last game in Las Vegas showed you with the half empty ass stadium.
Yep.
Yeah, but one thing I will say about that, like I agree, like Pulisic can't even make the Chelsea bench.
Holy shit.
Serginho Dest, AC Milan, they're playing Champions League semifinal, and they loaned him for a Nations League game. I think like your team's playing Champions League semis, and they say we don't even want you. Go play this friendly with the U.S. I get it. Their players like club level suck compared to the club level that Mexican players had, but at the national team, it's a complete different story. And then also, to be fair, if that Gold Cup, not that Gold Cup, if that Nation League's final is played in Ohio, Florida, Boston, New Jersey, that stadium would have been sold out. The U.S. fans don't have a big presence in that part of Vegas. And two, the games for Nation League's final were sold out months ago. Like the tickets, they got sold out months ago. You know what happened? Scalpers went ahead and bought them. They bought them all up because everyone expected Mexico, USA. So since they all expected Mexico USA, they all thought they were going to make crazy money. That was not the final. So the scalpers took a big loss, and people didn't want to buy, for a third place match. And then the U.S. doesn't have a big presence. It was a combination of like three different things.
Do you think the same thing will happen for the Gold Cup?
I think scalpers might be a little more cautious now because they took a big hit. They took a big hit with Nations League. Nations League final tickets sold out like within a day. That was not your casual fans. That's just scalpers buying them up because they're expecting a big payday. And now I guarantee you the Gold Cup final probably is not going to sell that fast. One, because of how bad Mexico's doing, and two, look at a U.S. roster. I think their only striker is Sendejas on the roster. That's like their only forward. Like they have like a BC team. Like
I love how the tables have turned and suddenly the other countries are bringing their B sides and saying, you know what, this is not a priority for us. But when Mexico did it, oh, how can you? You can't be saving your
Because they
good
were
team for
because they were
Copa
playing Copa
America.
America. Oh yeah, because the tournaments were a month
Yeah, but we were
apart.
crucified when we did that shit, man.
oh well, yeah,
Well,
because
yeah, because
we're the money. We're the money cow. You got
well,
to
it's
bring
just
your
not the
stars.
money cow.
That's
But
your
you also
revenue for
you,
Gold Cup.
but that's true. I agree with that. But at the same time, it's also if you're running the federation, you would do the same thing because if now you're devaluing your own tournament and you have to and then it just doesn't go for Mex. It would have gone for any team because at one point they did invite more than one team, so it will go for any team going over there. Um, yeah, you're allowed to play, but make sure you know that you're treating this tournament just as important. So I see it from that point of view.
Honestly, I think they should
Now,
disappear it. It doesn't make sense why you need the Gold Cup. You used to win the Gold Cups, go to
Well, two,
confederations,
two
but
Gold Cups because they play two in the 4 year cycle, so it shouldn't be two. It should just be one.
yeah, there's no point. But the thing though is if you argue get rid of Gold Cup, then you would argue to get rid of Euros and Copa America, but you're never going to do that. But it just doesn't make sense to play Gold Cup and Nations League. You know, Nation League feels like the friendly tournament, like it doesn't have prestige. But the Gold Cup, like, what's the point of winning the Gold Cup now? So
With
you
the
can
thing
say you're the
with
bigger fish out of U.S. and Canada.
no, but the thing with Nations League was that Europe started it.
Yeah,
So then
Europe
Europe
had their
started it.
Nations League, and
That
then yeah,
that took away from friendlies now. So before you could, I'm a scheduled game against some
yeah, that
Euro
was a
team.
stupid
Now they're
idea.
now
Yeah, but
they're
this gives
playing
you
their own
prestige. If
league.
you get my
So
point, like even if Mexico won Nations League, I would have been like, yeah, we won Nations League. It's like it feels like a friendly tournament.
Did you see all
yeah,
those USA people celebrate though?
No, man, I stay off that side of Twitter.
I mean, is the Nations
you
League
know
a friendly
Mexican fans would
tournament?
have been celebrating too. They would have crowded El Angel.
If they beat the U.S., maybe, but not Canada.
they
Gentlemen, good
So,
evening.
guys, isn't the Nations League a friendly tournament? Like, there's nothing
no,
really at risk here. What does it qualify us for?
it's just regional
just
Yeah,
tournament.
exactly. It's a fucking thumb in the ass. No hace
Well,
nada.
same with Gold Cup now. Gold Cup doesn't
Welcome,
qualify you
Colo.
for anything.
you get
Don't, don't, don't,
you get gold
don't you guys think
Coca-Cola.
that at some point they're going to merge the Gold Cup and Copa America?
Now, all right, this is something
Yes,
that I want
No,
to
that's not
talk
gonna
about
happen.
and then just kind of.
yes, they will. It will happen.
I
Come
think
on,
this
this
is
is
what
the second one already.
they're
Second one
tinkering
that's
with
getting.
it.
Yes,
The money's there,
yes, it is.
and
A prestige too, Colo.
the yeah,
Oh,
absolutely. I
Why
think
would
You,
they
you,
merge it?
dude, you have the current. You have the current. Why wouldn't they? If you're CONCACAF, why wouldn't you want it?
Because
And if you're
it's
CONMEBOL, you need that money. You're like, all right, fuck it. This is where the party's at.
and
You're
do,
gonna
and do,
the big
and do,
stage.
and do you think this doesn't benefit the CONCACAF teams that bring in a
It
little bit
benefits
more money?
everyone.
this isn't
Yeah.
It benefits
Pangea. We're
everyone,
not
Colo.
together. This isn't Pangea, man. We're separate continents.
But don't you guys
Wait a
think
little
it's
bit, man.
don't you guys
Wait
think
a
it's
little bit.
ironic though that but they want to come now they want to be all together, but before when it was just Mexico by
Oh
itself, like
yeah.
Jaime said, oh,
No,
there was the refs against Mexico,
no,
the
no,
commentator,
dude. No, no,
everything was
no.
against
You're
Mexico.
you're you're.
Mexico
I'm
was
sorry.
the big booty stripper, and
This
CONMEBOL and the rest of the shitty
no.
CONCACAF teams,
Apples
they
and
had the money
oranges,
gun.
dude. Nah, man. See, it's because different times, you know. So before things were different in South America. The economies, it goes by the economy. Argentina at one point was matching the dollar. Venezuela at one point had a really good economy. So money wise, they were well off. Now they're fucking poor, dude.
Yeah.
They're that the meme. They're that fox with the meme holding the cup. And dude, Argentina's
Add to this, man. If they do something like this on a regular basis, once every cycle, add the draw that Mexico is in the U.S. and the U.S. TV money.
yeah, that's dude, and sponsors money, dude.
I
Uh-huh.
The
think they'll do
massive
it
sponsor money.
because they wouldn't do it with Libertadores because the whole travel bullshit. But when
Right.
it's a national team tournament, all the
But
countries literally fly into the U.S.
you could do Libertadores. You could do something.
No,
You
but
could do
I
something
don't think they'll do
similar.
that
Like
now. But you can combine the tournament to always be in the U.S. because all the national teams just set a base in the U.S. You don't got to fly country to country. And then two, CONCACAF just realized, with the whole Mexico USA being in the semi, if for whatever reason neither team screws up and they're not in the final, same thing. Like, they lose so much value from sponsors wanting to put even more money into it as they don't know, like, the big prestige game, all that. So why take that risk? Might as well join. And you're at least going to have some powerhouse teams, where it really matters, the playoffs, the knockout rounds. And, it's going to be really interesting to watch. So I think CONCACAF will probably make more money off a combination of the two than they do of Gold Cup, even though they're going to split the revenue. And same thing with CONMEBOL. Even though they're going to split it with CONCACAF, I'm sure they'll make more money than just by hosting Copa America by themselves.
There's a big win for both confederations, right? For
yes,
CONMEBOL, they get paid. For CONCACAF, teams like Mexico, U.S., and Canada, who are the ones playing the best right now, they start playing a little bit more competitive as well. So on the sporting side, it's a benefit.
absolutely.
I would love CONMEBOL to bend over and just be like, here you go. But
just spread the cheeks.
I don't think their ego will get put aside. I think the ego will get in the way of things. But
No, they
Of
have
what though?
to though.
Of
You
what?
got to
Get
give
we
in
them
the way of what?
credit.
we have an
They're building
ambassador now.
headquarters in Miami.
We have an ambassador now. We have Messi. So maybe he can change things.
Nah, but this was since before, going back to the first Copa America Centenario, and they were even talking since back then, saying we need to do, we need to do more of this. Uh, and then just CONCACAF wasn't on it because they had some other things they're working on, and they weren't just gonna throw them to the side. Uh, but I do think moving forward, I do think we will see maybe like maybe not Libertadores, but something where like maybe the teams can meet in elimination rounds, something like that, or like a smaller tournament. Because we've seen some of these tournaments played where even European teams would come. The last one Chivas played, what was it called? The Intercontinental.
With the one
What
with
was it?
Barcelona and like Juventus and stuff like that.
Yeah, with Thomas Boy, and he had just taken over the team, dude. They throw him against Atletico Madrid. Some of these, and he did. Hey, dude, he did all right, man. If you think about it, he, he oh man, that was fucked up. Like he comes into that sinking ship, give him one paddle, and then they throw him all these. They throw him this massive Euro teams. Dude. The fucking fans are already fucking pissed off, dude.
I'm curious about the
Fucking
numbers of.
Mexicans. Dude.
I'm curious about how the Centenario Copa America
Oh, the
performed.
one we were through the roof, dude. Sold out stadiums, dude. It was a moneymaker, man. And
I'm curious to
I
know
mean,
like how it
Jaime,
ranks.
you don't have to. You could
No, I
Google
mean
that
like
shit.
I want to know attendance and ticket sales
Yeah,
and
all of that.
compare it to the other ones that have been in South America. I want to know. I want to
Dude,
know
come
how.
on, dude.
Oh,
Who's
Jaime,
gonna
no,
go
no.
buy, dude? Who's gonna
I
go
can
see a Bolivia Peru game outside of any of those countries?
I
This
can
is
tell
the
you right
country
now,
where
just being in that disaster that was Mexico Chile, that was a packed house.
But I went
I
to
mean, up until everybody hit up the beer line, then
I went
you could see
to
empty.
I went to Levi's for Jamaica versus Uruguay. That shit was empty, dog.
Yeah, but you're giving them more reason why they would merge. And honestly, and I just pulled up the numbers. That Centenario, that U.S. Argentina game, it was the most viewed game and Univision's soccer game history. Oh no, never mind. Fox Sports One's most viewed game,
Oh,
but the attendance rate was the most attendance rate in tournament history by more than 350,000 people, and they said that it broke every record, every expectation they had.
wow.
So,
boom, told you, Jaime.
And
and
Jaime,
then it says
you
the
think
U.S. has the infrastructure, the management capacity, the consumer base,
Yes.
all the things you need to put on a terrific event. And
Jaime,
Mhm.
it's really simple. They could strategically place teams in specific areas to draw. Right,
Mm-hmm.
you
Yep.
put teams like
Florida.
Venezuela and Argentina and Miami or in Florida.
Hmm.
That's a huge draw.
Yeah, they know what
Right?
they're doing.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
Mexico, you can put almost anywhere in the U.S. against a good team. It'll sell out almost everywhere. But U.S., you put them in against Argentina, you're going to get a good crowd. Or against Brazil, you'll get a good U.S. crowd out there.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think Brazil's the other team.
for
You could Brazil's. I feel Brazil, Argentina. I feel you could put them anywhere and they'll sell out just because the
yeah.
caliber of
I was just
maybe they
using
bring their top players.
just
No, yeah,
using
I know
the
what you mean.
example because of the Florida, the South Americans in
Yeah,
Florida.
Yeah.
True,
Yeah,
put up
and
the bet. You have three teams that you could pretty much place anywhere, and they're gonna have a great attendance.
mhm.
And that's what between them. How many games that is that already?
Do you
Yeah.
think would FIFA
Like
interfere
nine
here?
games for
No.
first round.
No,
You
I
think?
don't think
Well,
so because of the money.
didn't FIFA just sign like a thing with CONCACAF,
I don't know,
right? They
dude.
just came to, yeah, it was on Twitter. They did an agreement with CONCACAF about like I think they're gonna split earnings or something.
That
Mm.
that
But
bald guy from FIFA would
but
whore his daughter out for $1.
but parecemos let me pull it out, dude. Let me pull it out. No,
Infantino or whatever his name is.
You have
I don't think they'll pull it or
Infantino.
interfere.
Infantino.
Infantino.
It says that that tournament reached 1.5 billion households, and that Univision reported record ratings, drawing a larger audience than during the group stage of the 2014 FIFA World Cup.
And just remember,
That's
Jaime,
money for FIFA.
you have 3 teams that will draw big.
Yeah.
Mexico,
9 games for group
Argentina,
stage.
Brazil. U.S. will draw well because they're the host nation.
Oh yeah, they will too.
And then you
That's
know
12 games.
the others are a crapshoot, but
Colombia.
yeah, Colombia will sell out too.
Yeah, and I know my Habibis in the Middle East will watch any USA game, hoping the imperialism falls.
But
Here it is.
don't you guys hate that it's not going to be
wait.
in the host country though?
Don't you think what?
That's going to take away from the. I know it's so old people talk, but like when Chile hosted it and they won it, or where
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, bro. El
when
ambiente
Mexico went to
in
Colombia.
South America is like unrivaled to whatever we're gonna get out here.
That's
for
one
sure.
of the reasons you wanted to go to it, because it was in another country.
Jaime, I'm gonna
For
send
sure.
you something so you can read it.
What's up?
I'm gonna send you something so you can read it. A link.
So Jaime, for
It's
sure,
tough.
the atmosphere is definitely different. You know, in South America, but again, what they're looking for is money, and they're going to make a lot of money if they merge this tournament.
All right,
And
Jaime,
honestly,
I
the ambience
DM'd you the
wouldn't
story,
benefit
Jaime.
the
You can read
sponsors,
at
to be
least the
honest.
first 2 paragraphs, but I think it's very telling if you read this. It's just this news just came out not that long ago.
Wait, where'd you send it to?
It's on the DMs. It should be your first DM right there.
Oh, all right.
Fire. And with football, and I'm telling Habibi, business first, man. It's business first, sports second. Man City wouldn't be where it's at right now with all that oil money.
And I for one would be anxious to see that happen because Mexico has played its best ball when it's competed in Copa America.
Oh,
and
always, dude. It always lights a fire in their ass.
I don't know about now.
Well, they have a little bit of work to do, Ricardo.
Yeah, let's find their ass when they're playing in another country. When they're playing in the U.S., you get a Chile 7-0.
Don't rub it in, man. I was there.
I'm sure you went numb after the 4th goal.
That's gonna be the ambiente at Copa America, dude.
When it hit that 3rd goal, man, I started pounding beer, man.
God, dude, that $12 per cup sort of, you didn't care. It didn't matter no more.
It was worth it to go numb, man.
Hey, and I'm being like half serious here, half joking. But if they put all this money into it and they combine it, they don't want it in South America. Because look, if they're giving Mexico shit about the puto chant, imagine when they're playing in Chile and all you hear is "El que no salte es un argentino maricón." How are they going to explain that? With all the protesting they're going to get, you think they want to deal with all those chants? If someone has homophobic chants in South America,
Oh
yeah, they wrote the book.
you think
They
all
wrote the book on
state
that.
and all the Budweiser and all of them want cancel culture in America on their ass because they're sponsoring a tournament that's using the word maricon on the stands? No, bring it to America where everybody's like politically correct and we got the U.S. money here. Keep everything family friendly.
All right, I got the article opened up. I'm gonna read it. FIFA and CONCACAF agree groundbreaking deal to joint sell commercial inventory up to 2026. CONCACAF is opening the North American commercial door for FIFA in an agreement to cooperate in the joint sales of the 2026 World Cup and CONCACAF's major national team events that will include 2 gold cups. CONCACAF said that the agreement will take the cooperation to the next level by promoting and marketing all major upcoming official CONCACAF national team competitions together with the FIFA World Cup 2026. The selling point of the cooperation is that global and regional brands will have greater opportunities to impact the whole region. For FIFA, it gives them more leverage than just their quadrennial competition. For CONCACAF, it opens the doors to brands to get involved meaningfully across.
Like for months now that we are coming back to Libertadores. It's all about the advertising package. That in 2026, it's when we can start getting in there. It's when the Mexican American money starts flowing into in the form of advertising and all of this. And here it is. I've been saying this was going to happen. So we are coming back. FIFA has already co-signed us, so we're just going to start working towards it.
But
Well, Vivas,
are all the games going to be in the U.S. or are they going to be over there and over here too?
For Libertadores, remember the Mex complaint was the calendar, and I think they announced they're switching back to their old calendar. I mean, I don't need to think. We could look it up. But if that happened, that's them saying, "Hey, dude, you know that's Mex getting that 3 a.m. call. Like, are you awake?"
I don't know. I mean, just with the addition of Leagues Cup, I don't even know how you fit it in. Because you have Leagues Cup, Libertadores,
Ahí con
local league,
some
Conca
lube.
Champions.
You make it fit. You make it fit, dude.
Ya sabes, un poquito de saliva y todo cabe.
Spit on it or something.
Un salivazo.
What you up to, Mexico?
All right, so going back to the YouTube chats, Disco Fever, says, tell everyone to boycott all the Mexico Gold Cup matches. Screw them. Screw the federation. The owners, Televisa, force them to make sporting changes.
Who was that said that?
That is Disco Fever, on YouTube.
All right, Disco Fever, yeah. You guys need to help spread the word, man. Not we can't tell anyone. We'll tell anyone. We'll tell everybody, all 13 people here, and I don't know how many people are on the YouTube channel, but
hey, word spreads, man. Word of mouth is a big thing. If everybody tells their 50 cousins they have, we can knock this out in a couple weeks.
Exactly, man.
We were able to reverse boycott the A's, and that was 28,000. It started out something small, and then it really spread like wildfire. But I don't know, man. I'm very curious to see the Gold Cup attendance. I can tell you guys for a fact, I'm pretty sure that the first game will be like average, and then depending on how they perform, that will dictate the rest of the group stage matches. And let's be honest, they're not playing the most glamorous opponents. They're playing Honduras and Qatar, and I forgot the third one, but Haiti. You know, so we're talking about not the most prestigious countries, not the ones that are gonna fill in the seats. So I don't know, man. We'll see.
Now, one of the big things that I wanted to bring up, and it was earlier because we kind of kept rolling through it, is all right, Jimmy Lozano, this interinato. How do we feel about it? So we've all seen interinatos and what it is that happens. Coming from Liga MX, this shit is our bread and butter, right? But if he wins the Gold Cup, has he done enough to earn staying? Like, do you feel comfortable with another interino staying at the helm?
No, he hasn't done enough. You'll get fired by 2024. And
so
bring Rafa Marquez.
I don't like the interinatos.
In my opinion,
and not in the national team.
In my opinion, it's in the matter of how they win, right? So, like I said, if we see an instant change, like holy shit, this team is firing on all cylinders, and they win convincingly, I would say, here you go. Here's the keys to the LamborJimmy. Go ahead.
And then what? Do we install review periods, or are we just giving them carte blanche again?
I don't know, man. Here's my thing, and I think we talked about it. Was that 2 days ago, Jaime, where you had the emergency podcast?
Yeah, that was yesterday.
So there's yesterday. Oh.
Man, what are you drinking, dude?
Did I have the mimosas or did you, dog?
But
the bottomless.
I guess I should have gone to Meech over there, man.
Monica's, baby.
Monica's, all right. But no, man, my issue with this whole situation is this. they don't have a guy to replace Aris, the what's his name, the Parga or whatever.
Yeah.
They don't have a guy to replace him yet. Lozano's going to play. I see it as a no-win situation here because one, for him, I'm really bothered by this because I think it's a little bit unfair to Lozano, but I think it's a no-win situation for him because one, if he ends up winning the tournament and beating a B team US team or a B team Canada team or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be the narrative. They didn't beat the main team.
Exactly.
And if he doesn't win the tournament, he lost to B teams.
Yeah.
This is one of those things where they're just killing a potential solid future coach.
Damned if you do, damned if you don't.
And either way, whoever they hire to replace the other guy they fired is going to want to put his own guy in.
That's true too. Damn it, bro! Stop making so much sense, bro. Stop it.
I hate that.
No, I agree,
I'm
man.
gonna go with you to mimosas, man. I'll make less sense.
So the U.S.
what
team,
you're
like
saying
their offense is like Brandon Vasquez, Sendejas, Cade Cowell, and then Jordan Morris. You know, like 4 bums. If you barely beat those 4 bums 1-0, the people are gonna say you can barely beat them. What are you gonna do against Reyna, Pulisic, Weah, whatever? And if you lose to them, even worse.
Yeah.
So I think that Jimmy's not gonna last all the way. I still think it's set up on purpose. They then want to spend big bucks, like on your Mourinho or Rafa Marquez, whoever you want to talk about, and bring him in after that World Cup disaster, and bring him up to a Nations League with a little time to prep, a Gold Cup that's meaningless. I think they just said, let's just throw anyone out there, just knock this shitty stuff out the way, and then we'll bring a real guy in 2024, the same way Brazil's doing it with Ancelotti. There's no rush to bring anybody right now.
And I think it's just a really shitty situation with this, man, because that's pretty much what's going to happen. And you're already hearing the rumors of who's going to take over the job. You put Almada and Hugo and hell, even some.
No.
I don't know who.
Luis Enrique has been one of the names.
I know. And again, I was like, here we go with that shit again, right? Starting. Yeah, I get it. He has no job, man. But really, are they going to give him carte blanche, man? Like, I think the only positive of this Gold Cup is really for Lozano to see who wants to be on board, right? Who still wants to play on the national team. If you got people who are just kind of showing up, going through the motions, a la chingada with them. Send them to hell.
I don't know. I'm confident.
Did you guys see that joke? How pathetic that guy sounded.
Who?
I used to think that he was like I used to think that guy was gonna be the next great thing with Johan Vasquez.
Oh, he sounded like a little bitch, dude.
If I was Jimmy, I wouldn't call that guy up never again. Because we always talk about how Liga MX could promote like the league to make it bigger, right? Imagine if Liga MX had like the equivalent of like the NFL's Hard Knocks, and you'd be able to see behind the scenes
to see that.
How these guys train and how they act. No wonder they're always losing. These guys have a midget mentality, man. That guy's a loser, and I 100%. Hope he never gets called up again.
We saw a little bit with Chivas. They had like an All or Nothing on Amazon Prime, and we saw a little bit of like the behind the scenes and the bickering Villalpando calling Briseño a tronco and them going back and forth. So yeah, dude, I live for that kind of stuff. Go ahead, Elbow.
Yeah, no, my issue with Vasquez was just because you went and played at a freaking, you played on teams that got relegated, and all of a sudden you think you're a big shot. You still got to go earn your keep, man. You just can't go out there and say, I'm in Europe, play me. No, man. There's still players in Mexico that could outperform them, and obviously the coach thought that the other players were outperforming them. So those splinters in his ass were there for a reason.
I don't know, but I
I
think his
can't.
argument was more that he hasn't been given a shot. I don't think his argument was that I want to start, I need to start, I need playing time. I think his argument was like, come on, man, like I'm trying to bust my ass off in Europe. I'm sacrificing money. I'm doing everything I can to have a good career, and then you pull me out of that momentum, bring me over here, and you don't even give me like 10 minutes.
That's
So
something
like,
that you
what am I
you
supposed to?
say
What am I supposed to do? Impress you in the two practices before the game? Because we see each
Yes.
other for two practices play.
you
Come on,
handle
no,
that
like it's
internally.
kind of saying like the
You
coach already has his players in mind.
but
So
Absolutely.
if you're not gonna
that's a
play me, not
discussion.
even give me a
That's a
chance.
discussion you need to have internally, not to the press.
Yeah,
I guess it
Beto
was just
Gordon.
frustration on his part, but I'll add really quick because you were just mentioning how some of these U.S. Canada are, are sending BC teams because they want their players to try to earn
Their
their
preseason
spot. Yeah, and to have the pre so they could, we saw how that sometimes affected like Carlos Vela, where they would pull him out
comeback
of his
damage
club,
goods.
yeah, and so I mean that comes. I would say Federación level, someone should have talked to him and even to Coca and been like, okay, if we see you as an option or someone that is going to be part of the process, then it is important to have those players that are with the national team be competitive and be playing. Not just that he's in Europe, but that he's playing. So you could talk to him and be like, look, I'm not going to call you because we want you to try to win a starting spot.
I
Just let
actually,
him know. But
yeah,
you bring him here, and dude doesn't even. So he's missing out on two fronts. He's
yeah.
not getting played over here in that place. So I understand to a point of frustration, but I agree with you. He shouldn't have.
Real,
He
real,
shouldn't have aired it out.
real quick. I have a
Yep.
soundbite to play, and then we have Yums hopping on. So let me just play it real quick, and we'll get into it. Anyways, that was a hot take from the fattest guy I've seen on TV.
Cool.
He goes by Paulo Chaveria. I'm sure you
Is
guys.
that the
That
guy in
guy.
the blue shirt?
he,
Huh?
he calls himself Pablo Di Bola.
Yeah,
Is
Paulo Di
is
Bola.
is that the guy in the blue? Is that the guy in the blue
That's the
shirt?
guy in the blue shirt. I'll tweet it right now.
Man, that guy needs to lay
Um,
off the McNuggets. That guy's huge.
it's,
The,
today
the
was
only
20,
the,
20
the
piece
only
for $5.
We have
the only
Yums.
running he's ever done is to the buffet line, man. That's about it.
Looks like he dropped off. Yums. I did
Oh,
I
brother.
did let him get the mic.
He
Anyways, just
dropped off. What just really quick,
yeah,
Jaime,
go
let
ahead.
me. I agree with him. He just misses in the point where he says that costs money, dude. It's not if you have them with a psychologist on a daily, that's a lot of money, dude.
Yeah,
So
but
clubs aren't gonna do that. No, dude,
you
that's come on.
invest in the player, no?
That could leave after 2 years. So I mean, you're not gonna invest that type of money on a player that could leave maybe in a year or two.
How much could a
And
therapist
That
cost?
type of money. Come on, what you
dude,
talking
a good
about?
one
I just
on a
watched Ted
daily.
Lasso, and that lady does not look that
We
Come
gotta.
expensive.
on.
Hey, we should find out how much Chicharito pays his life coach, bro.
No, but I mean, you don't need to that extreme. But you could teach classes. You could have something at the training ground. Have someone come in and with the youth
Chicharito
For the
and
paid,
record,
You keep a
Chicharito pays
therapist
with
on
his wife.
$80,000 a year, and that's it.
how much?
Chicharito gave up his wife for a life coach, man.
Do you guys know what I think is also a problem?
What
Because
happened?
No, talk to you guys about because Joel mentioned Chepo right earlier.
Yeah, he went to Europe.
Yeah, man, he was on Picante on Monday, I believe,
Oh yeah.
and he was talking about. They were talking about this exact same thing about the players, and he was saying that the Mexican players, well, everyone always says, right, like we Mexican players, they can be they can be like the Carlos Vela. He could have it pretty. He could be an all around player, but the that mentality is not always
Yeah,
there. And he
the
had a great point.
professionalism.
Yeah, but he had a great point that I was thinking about, and Jose Ramon, that skeleton, and Faitelson, he was they were comparing the U.S. to Mexico, right? And the players, and he made a great point. He was like, you know what the U.S. does that Mexico doesn't. Well, the players, I mean, he said, and he has a point with this. A lot of these players, or the U.S. athlete in general, they grow up playing more than one sport. For
Huh.
Mm,
instance, a baseball player will usually play football, or um,
yeah,
Mexican players, they grow up all their life. I'm not saying they could all play different sports in Mexico. Soccer is the main sport. I get it, but these what they have an advantage over the U.S. athletes is that they grow up being able to succeed in one and failing in another, and that way they're humbled. So they try more in the other sport. And in Mexico, all these football players, like I said before, they all grow up, and everyone's telling them, "You're the shit, man. You're gonna be the next one. Keep it up." And they never reach that potential because they're never humbled. They never experience failure in their life up until they're pushed to where they are now. The Gold Cup, getting porked by the U.S. They don't know anything else except being told that they're great.
Joel, keep it in your pants, though. But Nestor de la Torres on football tonight, man.
yeah. Okay, I'm gonna have to check it out, man.
He was making a lot of
he's
good points. You guys should watch it.
he, he's a good coach, man. He just the selección thing pretty much
No, no,
soured his image. But
no,
if you look at his stats, they're actually very good.
no, I'm referring to his brother Nestor. He's on tonight.
Oh, damn, that's another dude. See, if you're Chiva fans, you can't hate on the De La Torres. That
Oh,
name right there is synonymous with Campeonísimo. It's tied to the club, dude. And it surprises me. It's mostly pochos here in the U.S. that will hate on the De La Torres. And I don't get it, dude. I'm not saying praise him, but at the same time, it's like it's too
I
much.
think people got pissed off at Chepo for losing the locker room, man.
He did. I mean, I think, and you see it in his personality. So I think that's been his downfall. He just doesn't have that. But he sometimes you could bring someone in, like the hype man, and then you do the you do the tactics, and then you have your hype man hype up
The
the
Flavor
players.
Flav.
We used to play a clip here. I don't know where it's at, but it's Bielsa had a hype dude, man, and it was when he was at Chile, and the Chilenos are coming out of the tunnel for like a World Cup qualifying game, and this dude was just standing at the tunnel, just just like talking like saying "Concha tu madre, Concha tu madre,"
Huevo, huevo, huevo,
and,
huevo.
and those guys, you could tell them, dude, they're all fired up, dude. They're ready to fucking go to war and die, dude. And you need that. Some coaches can do it. I've seen, dude. I remember one time, it was Vasco Aguirre, dude, and they did a hidden cam for he had returned. I think it's his first game was a World Cup qualifying game against the U.S. at Azteca. So I don't know if this was when he first took over or when he came back. My memory fails me there. Anyways, they recorded his locker room, dude, and I remember listening to it, and I was like, "Yeah, let's go, let's do this." I'm like, "Wait a minute, this game was already played," but that's how good he was, and you have that with some coaches. Some coaches just don't have it. I'm not saying you need it, but Chepo does have that like look. He looks constipated, you know. You can't even talk to that dude, so
He needs
I
that
could see why.
he needs that angry translator from Key and Peele, dude.
Like,
He looks like he came out of a prostate exam, man. That's what he looks like.
Yeah, he's a very serious coach.
yeah, man.
Man, I just saw that Paulo Di Bola thing. Keep it on the audio because once you see the video, you're like, this man has not ran a lap in the last 10 years. You
I'm
should
right
not be
behind him
giving
though, dude.
I
advice to
haven't
athletes. You should not be giving advice to
But his
athletes.
advice wasn't on sportiness. His advice was in the mental.
No, but still, you
I
can
do
make the
think he
same
has a bit of a.
argument. Why don't you like take care of yourself and your well-being so you can have a longer
Well, that's
career?
put down the hot Cheetos. But I mean,
Yeah, put down the
like we
food so
said,
you can live longer and have a journalist career of 30 years. It's the same thing.
Joel, that guy bleeds gravy,
And
man.
don't get me wrong, I'm not like fit or anything. I'm overweight myself, but
I
like,
wanna hang
goddamn,
out
no
with
te
that dude.
pases.
He must know where all the fire eating spots are.
He's
But
got tater tots.
going on to
Ese hace unos chilaquiles bien perrones, yo creo.
Bien verga.
Yeah, dude, that guy knows how to
Need to
eat,
hang
bro.
out with-
No, I agree a little bit with that, like, the whole multi-sport thing and everything. But I think at the end of the day, what is killing a lot of teams, and you even see with the Brazilian national team, is that everything's becoming academy. That you don't have that more like street ball where you actually learn how to play. Because if you play in academy and you're like a top player, you're kind of protected. Like, yo, don't like screw this kid up. Like he's one of our best. If you play in the streets, you gotta learn how to avoid those hits. Like nobody respects you. They don't care who you are. If anything, if you're known to be good, they're gonna try to hit you even dirtier. So like it improves your like instincts, your natural instincts. And now like you see people in Argentina complain about it that the academy kids, they play 3, 4 practice 3, 4 days a week, and that's it. They don't do anything. They go out to the street. They don't do anything like that. And you're starting to see it in Mexico. Cuauhtemoc Blanco, when he was coming with America, he was like, like 18 playing Primera División with America. And then he was going like to the Llano leagues and still collecting money and playing for them. You don't see that no more. Obviously, the
It's a new
players are way.
generation, my guy. They don't do that shit anymore.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Like, it's going to the globalized point where everybody wants to protect like their investment. So you lose that natural instincts, which you also lose that gap in talent where everybody's coming closer together because everyone's pretty much following the same developmental techniques at the youth level, pretty much amongst the top countries, where it's going to be really hard for you to get that like kid, like that Neymar, that Messi, that Maradona, like those guys that just grew up on that street ball because that's where you get those natural instincts. So I think it's more with that. Same thing with Mexican players. Everyone's just on the academy. But someone was saying, like, against the game against USA, you could have taken some baller ass dudes from second division who have that natural, hunger. They probably would have gave you a better performance. Maybe they would still lost 3-0, but it would have been at least some effort and different attitude than what you saw with the current national team. Everyone's just a little plastic Barbie diva nowadays.
Hey, man, now when you finish training, you go stream and you play Call of Duty and you get. Yeah, that's what you do now with your time.
Shots fired. Is that for your boy Chicharito?
No, I'm just saying. I mean, look at Neymar. Neymar's this big streamer too, Messi has his own fucking skin on Call of Duty. Like, times have changed, The players used to have to abide by the rules and it was all about the team and now it's like the players have marketing image rights, right? They have endorsements. Like people are going directly to the players and there's a video, I'll have to link it. It was about, about Mbappe and how he's very strategic with his endorsements and the brands that he chooses to, to be sponsored by. Very, very select few. Like he has less than probably 10 that he's actually endorsed by because he's very, very picky about, his image. And it was one of the reasons why the Madrid deal fell through last year because Real Madrid was not willing to give him more than, I think, like a certain percentage of his rights because Real Madrid, like, they like to take all the image rights from all the players and they give him a cut. And Mbappe's not used to that. He's used to having like full control. So pretty interesting. But I mean, the tables have turned, man. The players have so much more influence and have so much more power now, and that's why you see players like fucking Antuna starting every week for the national team because I don't know, he has a lot of pull, I guess.
He needs to
Jaime.
be American History X with those big fake teeth just kicked in, man.
Oh shit, dude. Now you're speaking Codazos language. Jaime, I sent you the link to the It's Bonini. If you could do me that favor, please, and play it. It starts around the 28-second mark.
Oh, all right. Let me see.
Yeah. Yeah, because the first seconds is like you don't hear anything, and that's like almost at the 28th second, 27.
Okay.
This guy was one of the physical trainers, but he would, hype man also, dude.
Damn,
That's
dude.
what he
Well,
passed away though. I
well,
would have
that's why
been
they want to
careful.
bring
Go hire that
the
guy.
Tigres assistant. They're saying
Oh,
that
for that to do that.
they're saying that the Tigres assistant, he was a Jimmy Lozano's assistant in the Olympics,
Oh shit.
and that he was focused more like on the tactics and
Wait, I
like
talked
the
about it
team.
earlier. The
I
Japanese guy, right?
He's
No,
a
no,
hype
no.
man,
This
Japanese
guy's
guy.
currently at Tigres right now. He's like Siboldi's
Oh,
auxiliar.
Oh
yeah.
shit.
So Jimmy Lozano
Damn.
has an assistant. He's Japanese. His name's Ryota Nishimura. I actually tweeted at him right before we kicked off to ask him if he's going to be joining Jimmy at the Gold Cup. I'm not sure. He didn't really talk about his entourage and who's going to be joining him. But he mentioned that Ryota's like his right-hand man, was an analyst, but then became his assistant. And then he has a physical trainer who's from Catalonia that he trusts. So yeah, he has his entourage. We'll see who ends up joining him on the bench. But I thought that was pretty unique that he has a Japanese assistant. Yeah.
So he's gonna teach the Mexican players ancient Chinese secret.
Isn't Japanese though?
Same thing, man.
Hey, isn't it Japanese if you like lose in a dishonorable way, like you put the sword through yourself? Because there's gonna be a
Shit,
lot
there's
of
a
dead
good
Mexican
samurai.
players, man.
Jaime, speaking of Japanese, remember that game show that I showed you?
Oh yeah, that was great, man.
Never mind. I'll go back to pause. I'll pause myself. Okay?
You gotta get yourself a headset, my guy. He's on speakerphone.
Did you guys happen to see the backlash from the Coca firing?
What?
From
That was
the
a shit
Argentine
show. It was a
press.
shit show.
Oh, what'd they
That's
say?
the bit. Like it.
That it goes to show you
That's the
that
bit.
that promoter guy, he had
Bragarni,
his tentacles all the way up FMF's ass, man.
he was at the game.
Yeah, he
He
had
was at the palco.
all the Argentine press guys just shitting all over Mexico. Before I came on here and I compared these guys to Jews, but I think these guys are more like the guys from that John Carpenter movie, the They Live. Those
He's
zombie
gonna get us
people.
canceled.
Those guys are everywhere, man. They have if it comes to football, these guys control everything.
Hey, man,
Kanye will take us.
When it's not Nazi references is.
Hey! As a Mexican Jew, I will co-sign that one. We do run everything.
Well, I say that as a compliment, man. Good on you guys.
Well, I'm 10%.
Ron must be on because I could hear echo.
Yep.
I was.
Uh,
You can hear a mouse whisper.
Is it me?
Yeah, Yums, you're on, but we can barely hear you. And also, I can hear myself.
I'm about 15% Jewish, bro. So I take offense to Ricardo's commentary. Yeah, my name is Yums Moshi. Huh? Yeah, man. I was dancing when the 9/11 towers fell down. Oh man.
I was gonna play the once the Argentine press could buy me a deal, they can talk. But oh shit.
Well, I think everyone has to mute themselves so you can hear him talk. I think that's a problem.
We'll keep the show going while we figure out the audio thing, but highly suggest getting a headset or something so we don't hear ourselves as you speak. But yeah, with the Gold Cup a week away from kickoff, Jimmy Lozano taking the helm. Maybe the players will have some more confidence because they're familiar with him. They're familiar with his tactics. A lot of these guys were involved in the Olympics. So, if they come out swinging and Jimmy Lozano has a successful tournament, convincingly beats whoever's in the final, of course, in typical CONCACAF fashion, the only way the U.S. and Mexico face each other would be in a final. That's how they like to have it set up. So who knows? We might see a rematch, but if Jimmy gets the job done, wins convincingly, I think that he'll earn himself the permanent position of coach. We'll see though, because they are throwing some names out there. I know Joel mentioned earlier the guy from Barcelona. I forgot his name.
Luis
Um,
Enrique.
yeah, Luis Enrique. But honestly, like if you're on the sidelines or if you're looking for a job right now, would you legitimately try to join the Mexican national team? That's like career suicide. I'm actually very curious to see where Coca ends up after this, man. This is like terrible.
What was that? My European coach. I was like a big name coach about 12 years back. He came over here and
Sven
destroyed his
Goran
career.
Eriksson or whatever.
Erickson.
Yeah, but was it Von Erickson? Yeah, dude, he came over here and that was it for him, bro.
Yeah. Yeah, Sven Goran Eriksson. I would say Ojitos Mesa and Coca. Probably the worst coaches we've ever had.
It's only one of them Chilango DJs with that echo. No, but with as far as like being suicide or whatever, you know what? Me, if I was from the outside looking in, I would take the job because at the end of the day, Mexico historically they do well in the World Cups, man. To be a team that no matter what group they're in, always like make it out of their group. That's like an interesting project. It lets you know that there's potential there for the players. You just need to take it a little bit level higher. So if you're someone that's competitive and you always want to improve and you like a challenge, I think a lot of coaches would take that job. The only thing that sucks about it is the media and like you see how previous players have been treated, sorry, coaches, and then you see the federativos, like how they're so short-minded and they can fire you to win. That would make me step back. But like from a sporting aspect, I'd be like, hell yeah, this team, besides this last World Cup, it doesn't matter if they're playing against Brazil or Italy, they always make it out of their group stage. There's talent there. Let's see if we can take it to another level. So if I
Didn't
was like a Luis Enrique kind of guy, yeah, it definitely interests me. But I
didn't
think he's going to PSG.
didn't Sven Goran Eriksson like air out all the dirty laundry about his experience in Mexico and how he wasn't really allowed to call up, like they told him the players to call up and he didn't know who reported to who. Like he was a puppeteer in that one.
Yes, he spilled all the beans as soon as he left.
I don't know
And
about players, but he. I'm sorry. Go on. Go on.
no, that's just it. He spilled all the beans, and I think since then, and especially the way that we've treated Tata and everything, I don't think
Yeah,
you're
he
gonna
wrote a
get
book.
one of those big ones. You
Sven wrote a
know?
book. I don't know if he. I don't know if he was dictated. Uh, but I do think when they brought him in, that was the point though to have Gio and Vela, and like they wanted this whole like the European or European base to be like the European players to be the base of the team, and so I think he came, with just knowing that like that was like the expectation. Well, some of these guys are pretty young, but I think the reason he failed was more along the lines of he kind of went off the end because you guys remember when Ney was at Man City, he was the coach, and he was in the limousine with him, and they had like hookers in there. So I mean, if you're at that point where you're a coach and you're partying with in limousine rides with hookers, cocaine, and who knows what else they had. I think at that point he sort of like went off the deep end because I think when we're talking about coaches that have taken the next job and then I really haven't seen one that kind of like aside from Chepo, perhaps, where they kind of got tarnished. It was Ojitos, right? Took him a long time to come back, but at the same time, it was like he had like massive success, and I think it was going to be very difficult for him to replicate what he had done at Toros Neza and Toluca. Like even to this day, I don't really see teams scoring those type of goals and playing like that week in week out. So I think that was always going to be difficult. But I think he ultimately won again, um, or won
Oh,
something. I have to
I
check.
have the article. It says Erickson writes of his disbelief that he was made to report regularly on national team matters to Mexican First Division club owners, indicating that it would be
There you go.
unthinkable for the same thing to happen in England. The book is called Sven My Story. He said it was absurd. I could not I could not report to several different people who had all different interests. I've always been clear that I wanted to report to one person, but that's not how it works in Mexico. There it was important to make allies with the people high up in football establishments, as if that would help the national team win games.
Yeah, I think it was Vergara that asked him what hotel he was staying and why he picked that hotel. It's like it's Venice. They have the best hookers and blow. Um, but
Oh wow! It says Erickson reveals that Justino Compian told him in their first meeting that Javier Aguirre was the preferred choice for the job in 2008, but the Mexican was unavailable due to his role at Atletico Madrid. He says, I had always been first choice in my previous jobs. He adds that his annual salary was 2 million euros per year, not including bonuses, and that the stated aim was to reach the World Cup quarterfinal. But he
Man, that's
complains.
2 million, like 2008.
Yeah, bro. He said that I had enemies in Mexican football from the first day to the last.
Damn, bro,
yeah,
drop the
No,
link to
dude,
that
but
book.
read a little bit more down where he talks, basically implies that they told him what to do with the team. Are you on the ESPN article?
Yeah, ESPN article, Erickson slams absurd L tree setup in new book. This was written by Tom Marshall in 2014.
Yeah, but the part where he says it was more or less the club owners that decided how the national team should be run.
Yep.
That's where it kind of implies like, oh
but that's
shit.
the FMF. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the FMF has always been made up of the club owners.
Oh shit. He
Yeah,
says Jorge Vergara, who he had to explain the loss to the United States. It was almost like I was answering accusations at some kind of tribunal. He says that Vergara demanded to know why the goalkeeping coach hadn't been fired and why the team stayed at a certain hotel. Each question was dumber than the next.
They have the best hookers. Best access to coke. What do you mean why?
Yo, man, I have to read that book now.
Dude, because some of these guys did go off. Because remember there was a fake Sven.
Oh
Oh yeah.
yeah. And he showed up to he showed up to he showed up to Tigres's like workout like training
Wasn't he walking around with some
and
big
and
booty
and
girl?
like oh and Duca thought that he was the real guy and he was all proud. He's like, "Oh, look, we got Sven and it was his dummy."
Dude, he was, yeah, yeah, you have this. I don't know what the fuck's in the water in Max, dude. Because even Osorio, dude, started double dipping, dude, and he got caught. see what Aguirre did, dude. He was at Atletico. He had this really cool job, and he was like, nope. And he ended up getting it later on. That would have been Coca, dude. Trust me. You said Coca.
There's
Coca.
there's a YouTube video. And he's walking out with like 2 hookers.
Told you.
He went to he
Wait.
went. Oh my god.
Because dude, at this point, Sven, dude, when he was telling you he lost it, dude, he must have been on something, dude. He was like, fuck it, dude. He was like Nick Cage and leaving Las Vegas, dude. Probably had a suitcase full of all type of drink. um,
You imagine showing
Yeah.
up to training and you see the coach of the national team with like just 2 rippers by his side, bro. Like, what?
Hey, link that. I will link that.
I'm linking it right now.
for science.
Oh my god! And the funniest part is like Tuca thought it was like for real, dude. Like he thought it was the real guy.
Tuca, dude.
Oh man, I put it in the chat. Oh my god, it's
Oh
hilarious.
man, it reminds me of Pep going to try to see La Volpe, and I think La Volpe told him to kick rocks.
Really?
Yeah, dude. This is when he was playing at, what was it, San Luis?
Dorados, you mean?
There you go. He was Dorados, and
Yeah.
I think he tried to go see any.
Oh boy. Hey, well, we're coming up on the 2-hour mark, so I want to leave you guys with closing thoughts, and then we'll wrap up this episode. Predictions for the Gold Cup. Who do you guys want as coach? Should Jimmy stay? I'll leave you guys. Give your final word.
I'll do my take real quick. I don't mind if he stays. I don't think there's this I like this comparison that ESPN Rafa Ramos says about Mexico fans. He says they put as much faith in the national team coach as they do in the Virgin Mary. Music referencing they're expecting them to make miracles, and it's kind of like that. I think when
Damn.
we see the coach, we expect them to do all of this, and I think they're always going to be limited to what the players and the talent they have. And for what's available for Mex right now, I think he's one of the best candidates, just because he's just that fact that he's worked with a lot of these guys and he already has their trust and confidence, and they already achieved something. So I think that gives him a good leg up. And seeing how the competition is going to be weak, he should be able to win this Gold Cup, which I think Coca would have probably done it, playing B and C teams. And I think at this point, if they do it convincingly, I do think at that point they'll just let him stay. I think it was Habibi that said if he struggles to beat these subpar teams, then at that point I think fans will turn against him, or it'll be way easier to just bring someone else in.
For sure. Elbow, what you got for us, Mike?
Man, like I was telling you guys earlier, I'm concerned that they're hanging this poor guy out to dry. Personally, I hope that the guy does well, and that it does sort of pay off the way Joel is talking. Since he does know a lot of these players and stuff. I kind of agree. I kind of do hope he does get a the permanent position. It's just how the politics are in FMF, man, and they're still gonna need to get a guy who their sporting director guy, right? And you know how those guys work. They want their own guy. And so crossing my fingers for Lozano, but I just have very little faith in the FMF.
Yeah, for sure. Anytime you get a new job or a new role, you got to go and make a stink. And usually that requires a bold decision and having a guy that's in your corner. So hopefully they appoint someone that is a fan of Jimmy and wants to keep him. But if not, I know that they're going to try and get a bomba. I just can't imagine who that would be.
Just not the guy in the blue shirt.
Yeah. Let's see. Who wants to go next? We have Ricardo Abdias and Al Pastor.
All right, gents, I'll take this shot right here. So the big thing for me is just interinatos, man. Coming from Liga MX, it's just left such a bad taste in my mouth. To we've discussed it. It all depends on the forms, right? How it happens, how they win. Is it a resounding win where there's been an obvious change in the team? If so, sure, but it's kind of like waiting for a car crash, right? We've all seen it. We're kind of just gonna hold on to it. So I hope Jimmy does well. I never wish ill on a Mexican coach, much less if he's handling the Mexican national team. So that's going to be my big takeaway out of all of this. Now, I do want to talk a little bit about Liga MX and what is happening con El Amor de Mi Vida Cruz Azul. So, as of right now, Jaime Ordiales is back. There's been reports that he never really left. He's always been there in the background. So, that's a fun little shit show. Huescas is rumored to be moving to Europe within the next couple weeks,
Mm.
and Cruz Azul will be debuting their new kit, their new the three kits this Thursday.
Oh.
So we'll be seeing that coming out fairly soon. And one of the big things is it's being done by Prima, a Mexican brand. All of these things coming in house, so we will see what that looks like.
Oh, new sponsor.
And then, yeah, new sponsor, new everything. So it's a
Oh.
brand new line that's coming through.
You guys had Jordan
So
before?
it's the first time we had. Yep, we
Yeah.
have Joga or some shit like that.
Jordan,
And then
yeah.
before that, I miss Under Armour.
Yeah.
I really do miss Under Armour. It was just the finances weren't really working in our favor. So it's gonna be interesting. You guys, if you have time tomorrow, there's gonna be an in-depth interview
Mm.
with El Conejo Perez
Oh.
about what is going on in Cruz Azul, los fichajes que se han caído, what exactly that's happening, what is his role now that Jaime Ordiales is back? You know, are they supporting him? Kind of what is it that's going to be happening? So Cruz Azul as of right now is in a massive disarray, but I'll keep my ear to the ground and I'll bring it to the next pod.
Hey, I'm telling you right now, we'll have to fight if you guys end up getting Alan Pulido, man.
That was the other one. We're gonna fight, bro. I'm stealing your bitch. Don't you worry about it.
Nah, son. He's only playing for Chivas. He ain't gonna go to Cruz Azul.
I don't know, man. The reports are that yesterday, like the negotiations are well in advance. That he's coming. Tuca has already reached out to him. The relationship has been fixed. Like X, Y, and Z is going on.
The problem is Kansas City ain't gonna let him go for free, and that has unfortunately expedited negotiations between Cruz Azul and Kansas City because Chivas, being Chivas, want to wait for him to go as a free agent, and Kansas City ain't about to allow that to happen.
If you're Cruz
That's it,
Azul,
baby. We're not broke.
if you're Cruz Azul, why go for Pulido? You for that type of money, you go South America and get a younger
You know why?
version of Pulido, dude.
You know why? Because that friend that you kind of like but don't like, when he comes at you, is like, "Hey, yo, man, I've been eyeing this girl." You go, "You know what, man? Fuck you. I'm gonna take her from you." That's
It's like, but I called dibs, bro.
That's just it. That's it.
Exactly.
And then don't forget,
You can call
Messi
dibs, pero yo se la
debuts
meto
against
primero.
Cruz Azul, so it means he's gonna have a salty, shitty MLS career because he didn't have that
Tu-
Cruz Azul bad luck.
Oh, that curse.
Tuca's gonna bench his ass. He's gonna be like, remember Tigres? 'Cause I haven't forgotten,
Hey,
bitch.
I haven't forgotten that you
Cruz Azul Hidalgo.
that you broke your contract and called yourself a free agent when you really weren't.
Yeah.
Hey, but you're forgetting something. They both have Ferraris or Ferrari bros, so that might
That's
actually
true,
put him.
man.
That
Oh,
might amend things.
yeah, and Alan Pulido, I think he's like getting divorced too. He should have never married her.
Oh no, he's been done.
Yeah,
Been single.
I told you guys the juice, man. My freaking taxi guy from the Chivas Stadium. He said that he was his personal driver and that they were about to get married and he was signing things over there in Kansas City. And he asked his driver to keep an eye on her because he had a feeling that she was cheating on him with Canelo. So he actually was out there watching her, making sure that she didn't leave the house for 3 days. So yeah,
Damn.
that's why they got divorced, man. You can't trust them.
Pinche
That's
Canelo.
it.
I'd but
Yo, so do you guys know the name Adrian Esparza Oteo?
no.
That is the two-day reporter that is embedded in Cruz Azul, who does all of their following, and that's who's reporting that the relationship with Tuca. Tuca himself reached out personally to Alan. The relationship is a work in progress. There's been a lot of things that happened overnight yesterday, so we might be seeing a very soon reveal. So
Mm.
on Twitter or anything like that, he's somebody to follow because he
Hey,
is
man, it's Cruz
a
Azul.
embedded person.
Chivas comes in last minute and wins it. Does a Moises Munoz. So I wouldn't cross my fingers on that one.
What you got for us, Al Pastor? Closing thoughts.
My closing thoughts is Jimmy Lozano. I wish he would have showed up to the national team under different circumstances. When they were looking for a coach during the 60-day review period, he said that he presented his project, but the Federativos were just not, they didn't like it, they didn't fuck with it. So it's pretty interesting that their main choice, who they go and spend $2 million a season on, they fire. So now Jimmy Lozano's like all of a sudden the answer to that, which I don't think he is. I don't think they have the faith in him. If not, they would have appointed him from the beginning. I think they're just going to use him to get this out the way, and then they're going to bring someone else in, which I disagree with because, to me personally, would it be nice to bring somebody like Luis Enrique who knows so much about the game? From a soccer perspective, yes. But at the end of the day, national team, you barely see your players. All that you need is good vibes and players willing to work hard and bust their ass off. You don't want players dragging their feet like Johan Vasquez, thinking that, the national team is like a chore. You want players that are showing up excited. The coach, you fuck with the coach fucks with the players. They're all rowing the same way. And perfect example of that is Scaloni, the Argentina coach.
Yep.
That guy had no experience, never coached a club, but that's all he got. He got the group, believing that they could win, and he was like kind of a leader, but he wasn't like over imposing. And you kind of get the same same feelings from Jimmy. But I just feel like I don't know. Like it's a hard decision. Do I take this job that I might never be offered again? But do I take this job where they never really wanted me and they're just using me, to do the dirty laundry while they find their preferred choice? So, but yeah, I hope he does well, but I wish he would have arrived under different circumstances.
Good point. Leave it to the number one fan, Ricardo. Not sure if you're still on. I see you're muted, but feel free.
As always, it's a pleasure to talk with you guys about football. And I can't think of another team, any other sport or team in the world that has this this amount of potential, this amount of a fan base, of attention, of love that they get, and the people in charge of it just give you shit instead, man. Like the fans get blamed for everything. They they any other team would die to have a fan base like Mexico, but
I
here
thought you
we
were talking about
are.
Chivas.
Oh nah, man, come on. You guys have that Spanish guy that looks like medio metro. That you guys got. No, but nothing's gonna change, man. Mexico, the Jimmy's gonna fail, and we all know he is. Even sure, I hope he does good, but he's gonna fail because Mexico, at the end of the day, doesn't have elite players, and you don't win big things without elite players. Because Mexican players are lazy, dumb, and but mainly they're lazy. And one thing in life you can't be is a lazy Mexican. You might as well not exist, man.
That is true. I've never seen
And
a homeless Mexican.
and regarding the biggest team in on this side of the world called Club America, I'm very excited about the coach, man. I mentioned them even last year that I didn't say I wanted him for America. I always thought he should get his Larcamon chance with a bigger team, and he's getting his chance with America. He's gonna el jardinero de fútbol. He's gonna cultivate his Brazilian football with this America team, and I fully expect America to play like the 2002 Brazil team in the World Cup, man.
If America gets Gabigol, I will be very jealous. I
Oh,
don't think you can
I've
afford
been
his
hearing that.
salary, but I'll be jealous.
I think it's fake news, but if America pulled that off, man, I'd probably die from blood loss of permanent boner. But I don't think it'll happen.
Neither do I. I think you can afford to buy him. I just don't think you can afford his salary. That guy would need to leave Brazil for at least 7-8 million a season.
Oh yeah, he's just one of those players you're never gonna see in Mexico.
For sure, for sure. Well, leaves it to me. Again, I wish Jimmy all the best. I hope that he does have a convincing Gold Cup and they allow him to continue his process. You know, after seeing the interview with Pelas, yeah, he has a good head on his shoulders. He deserves the chance, and much rather have him than our chances with the foreigner. Some updates for the national team. Alexis Vega has been pulled, so he's not going to be going to the Gold Cup, and he is going to be replaced by his teammate Alvarado Piojo. So that is a roster update. As far as the forecast for the week, Mexico will kick off things on Sunday against Honduras. We will probably try to recap that game Tuesday night, same time at 9 p.m. Or depending on our situation, maybe we'll record after the match. We'll keep you guys posted on the Cantina MX handle over here on Twitter. Again, thank you guys all for your participation today, both on YouTube and on Twitter Spaces. And we hope to see you in the next one. Hope everyone has a great night. Be safe